Hey guys, what's going on? This is Tom and another edition of Tom Talks. This one, this question we got kind of pops up in various forms and fashions, but I kind of decided to take all these different questions similar to this and kind of lump it into one general topic. And we're just simply talking about exercise selection. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of the importance of exercise selection, what is simply the purpose? Exercise selection is a big deal because it simply prioritizes your training. It's based off of what your goals are for training. If your goals are to increase your clean and jerk, then those are the higher priorities of your training. If your goal is to get a better powerlifting total, then those are the goals of your training, and your training, everything else is focused around those goals. Common way for weightlifting, and that's my experience, so that's what I'm going to go with, is, of exercise selection is maybe your warm-up or movement prep. Maybe some people prioritize that. I don't put that as part of the exercise selection themselves, but some people do, so there you go. In this order, though, it should be always lifts, strength, accessory work, and then some sort of a cool down, whether it's foam rolling, stretching, whatever. But I feel like a cool down is just as important part of your training as everything else that you do. As I said before, the goals are to get better at the snatch and the clean and jerk, so you need to prioritize them in your training. But a lot of people ask about squatting first, and me personally, I'm not a huge fan of squatting, but there are a few exceptions to every rule, and here are my exceptions to squatting first in training. First off, if it's a heavy single. If you're doing a ton of reps or you got a lot of volume in your squats, like if you're doing the LSUS template and you got 10s or 5s or 3s or what, don't do that first, because that's going to fatigue your legs extremely, and your lifts and your timing is going to be off when you actually get to them. That's why the LSU template, like the squatting is like a main movement on some days. But when we were at MDUSA and we were at Cal Strength, we would front squat heavy first. Front squats don't necessarily tax you as much as back squats. Travis Cooper, I think, said it best, and I use this all the time in my training with my athletes and stuff, that the back squat is to build strength, the front squat is to build positions. So the front squat doesn't tax you as much as the back squat. I'm okay with people doing heavy front squats first, sometimes heavy back squats, just not repeatedly. So those are really the only times I think squatting first is a good idea. I have a couple lifters who actually prefer to do a heavy single in the back squat or the front squat first because they feel like it warms them up for the lifts. If that's your prerogative, go right ahead. But if your main goal is the snatch and the clean and jerk, all your energy and focus should be on those lifts, and then everything else is accessories. So yeah, I mean, it's different per person. This is my interpretation of this. This is how I do it, how I work with athletes. So don't take this to heart. Don't sit there and start going on and on about how I'm wrong about this, I'm wrong about that. This is just how I do it, and this is just what I have experienced and seen work in my own, eyes. Pulling. If you are a weightlifter, I would never pull before doing the main lifts. If you do and it works, good for you. I have seen very little evidence of advanced lifters and that working. No offense, if you are new to weightlifting, just about anything is gonna work. You could sit there and do a 20-minute EMOM of 10 box jumps every minute, and then go lift and hit a PR if you are brand new to the sport. Like you're so new to the sport that anything is going to probably work. But for me, working with more advanced, more experienced lifters, I would never suggest pulling, simply because that is going to tax your CNS, and then you're going to try to go snatch or clean and jerk heavy. It just, the results aren't going to be as good as they could be if you would wait and do your pulls after your lifts. And then the last thing about exercise selection, keep it simple. Just don't overcomplicate the issue. Exercise selection is not something that you need to go to you don't need to go to school for it. You don't need to be reading a bunch of books. You don't need a couple of degrees or go overseas and study under the greatest coaches. It's very simple. Focus on what your goals are. Whatever in weightlifting, your goal is the snatch and the clean and jerk. That should be priority number one. Then what strength movements are you doing to help increase those totals? Then number two, accessory work to bring up any weaknesses and all that stuff. Like those should be your three priorities in training. Then everything else is just extra. But focus on those, focus on the big picture, which is improving your clean and jerk. So that is my thought on exercise selection. If you guys have any other questions or comments, go ahead and comment below. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, shoot us a message. Let us know what you want to hear in these Tom Talks. Until then, take care, guys.